Hello, how you doing? It's MrDoTheMath here, and today we're going to talk about area, perimeter, and circumference. Alright? So, to start off, we need to realize this, that to find an area, the perimeter, circumference, there are formulas that we use in mathematics to help us find these things, right? So, let's look at area first. Area. Alright, we're going to focus on four different areas, right? Four different shapes, right? These all deal with shapes, right? Something that is enclosed, right? So, we're going to look at a square, right? We know it's a square because all the sides are congruent, right? We're going to look at a rectangle. Right, so these two sides are congruent and those two sides are congruent. We're going to look at a triangle, right? And a circle. Let's put him here. And a circle. Okay? Now, area means the measure of the space inside. Area is the space inside. When you're trying to find an area, you want to know the measure of the filled-in space, right? The area of this room is how much square footage is in here, right? How much space that you occupy inside the building, right? Perimeter is the distance around, right? What it takes to enclose a space, right? Perimeter, going around, right? Circumference is the same thing. Circumference is basically the perimeter of a circle, right? It's the distance around the circle, or how big around the circle is, right? That's all it is. So we're looking at area, that's the space inside, perimeter and circumference, which are they're the same, right? Just for different types of shapes. Perimeter is for a part with corners. Circumference doesn't have corners. All right, so here we go. A square, right? A square. All the sides are congruent, right? So the area of a square is going to be the sides to the second power, right? You can say side to the second power for a square because if, for instance, if this side is 5, this side is also 5. And so we always learn that area is base times height for rectangles and squares, right? Base times height, so it'll be 5 times 5. Which is the same as 5 squared, right? And because that's the same, this is what we can use as the formula for the area of a square. Okay? We good so far? Now, a rectangle. The area of a rectangle, because we see it here, right? These sides are congruent and these sides are congruent, top and bottom. So, not all 4 sides are congruent. You have at least two different measures, right? So for the area of a rectangle, you use base times height or length times width, right? Base times the height, right? Or the length times the width, or whichever way you want to put it, but you have two different shapes, right? So in that case, let's use a crazy measure. So if we say this is 4.5, right? So the base is 4.5 and this height is 2.5, right? The area will be 4.5 times 2.5. Right? Who's gonna be my calculator? 11.25, right? Here's the area. And that would be in units squared. In units squared. Okay? Units squared. Alright? So let's look at this one. Let's look at it. Before we go further, when you're trying to find these things, when you're trying to find an area, circumference, perimeter, or whatever, the first thing you want to do is, identify, find your length. Like identify what they give you, right? So you want to write what's given. Write what's given. Right? So that's going to be either the base, the height, or the area. right? Whatever they give you. Write that down so you know what it is, right? Then from there, you just plug it in, right? So when my dad used to teach, he would say plug and chug, right? So plug it and then work it out, right? Plug and chug, right? So you'll plug it in. So they gave us the base, they gave us the height, plug it into this formula, and then work it out. Chug it and get your A, okay? We good so far? All right, here we go. Triangle, right? Now, here's what's special about a triangle. Well, yeah, here's what's special about a triangle. A triangle legit is like half of a rectangle. When you think about it, it's half of a rectangle, right? If I draw a rectangle and then I make a diagonal, I've created a triangle, right? So, because a triangle is half of a rectangle, the formula for the area of a triangle is half the formula for the area of a rectangle. So, the area of a triangle is 1/2 the base times the height. You good with that? So for instance, if I had the base of, what's your birthday? Birthday number? 25, right? And month? 3, right? 25 and 3. So if I said the base is 25 and the height is 3, plug it in here. You got 1/2 times 25 times 3, right? You can write it like this, or it might be easier to look at it like this: 25 times 3 over 2. It's the same thing. These are the same thing, right? 25 times 3 is 75 divided by 2.
37.5.
37.5, right? Units squared, or square units, right? That would be the area for this triangle. Okay, we are good. It's making sense. Okay, and then let's deal with these closed-in areas first, and then we're gonna get to the circles. We'll do circles by itself. All right. So that's area. That's the space inside. Area is the space inside. Let's look at perimeter now. Right? Perimeter. It's a bit different. Perimeter is different. We'll use that same measure. Perimeter. We'll use the perimeter for a rectangle for a square, right? So for the perimeter, again, it's the distance around, right? How long does it take to get around, or how far is it around, right? And so you use the same things. You use the length and you use the width, right? But you're basically adding them all together. That's essentially what you're doing, right? You're adding this plus this plus this plus this, and that's how you get your perimeter, right? There's a formula for it. So they would use P equals, there's two ways to write it. 2 times the length plus the width, right? Because remember I said you add them all together, but you got 2 lengths and you got 2 widths, right? So that is where you get the 2 times L plus W. Or you can say perimeter equals 2L plus 2W. Same difference. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's work one out. AJ, what's your birthday number?
26.
26. Yes. Lovato.
18.
18. All right. So 26. So remember, like number one, what do we have? We're given the length equals 26 and the width equals 18. Right? 2. You plug it in. So that'll be. We can do it like this: 2 times 26 plus 18. Right? 26 plus 18 is what?
44.
44 times 2.
88.
88 would be the perimeter. Okay? 88 would be the perimeter. Okay? The same thing applies to a triangle, right? The same thing applies to a triangle. And at this stage of the game, this is the beginning of the year, with the triangle, we should give you the measure of all the sides, right? As we get deeper into the year, you'll have to find the measure of the side and then find those things. But, so, for the perimeter of a triangle, it's the sum of the sides. It's the sum of all the sides together. So perimeter of a triangle is the sum of the sides. So you get a side and you add all the, you get these sides and you add them all together, right? What if I had something like this though? What does this mean?
They're all equal.
They're all equal, right? So if this was 3, then the perimeter would be what?
9.
9, right? 3 times 3. 3 sides that are 3, right? Or 3 minus 3 minus 3. Okay? That's it. So perimeter, distance around, area, space inside, right? All right. What if, because we get to circles next, what if they said the area of a triangle, yeah, what if they said the area of a triangle, let me write down what's given. The area of a triangle is 308, right? Units squared. And they said the base was 28, right? And then after that they said find the height. What's the height, right? All right, so this is a more challenging thing, right? Right? So again, it's the area of a triangle. So we're dealing with a triangle. The area is 308. The base is 28. We want to find the height, right? So we'll write in what we got, right? They gave us these things. The area is 1/2 base times height, right? Right? So you'll plug in what they give you. They gave us the area, right? Right? So it's 308. They gave us the base equals 28. We don't know the height times h over 2. We all good with that? All right. Then we solve, right? So the first thing we got to do is get rid of this 2, right? So we're gonna multiply 2. So times 2 times 2, right? 2 times 308. 616. We got that? 616 equals 28h. Right? Then you got to divide 28. Divide by 28. So h equals 22.
Hold on, you said 2 times 308?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Right.
I put it down.
So that's what you did. You good with that? We good?
Yeah.
Cool.
Wait, that's to find the height if they gave you the...
If they give you the area and the base. Right. That's what you do. Okay? Alright, let's go deeper. Let's go into circles now. Alright? Let's go to circles now. Alright? Circles, 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 circles. Alright. We have a circle here. Right? The area of a circle is the space inside. Now, circles have different kind of names for its sides and shapes and acquaintances and stuff like that. So for instance, this is the center of a circle, right? Everything derives from the center of the circle. So from the center to the corner or the edge of a circle is called the radius. It's important, right? The distance from the center to the edge is the same everywhere. So whatever this radius is, this is a radius. 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 All of these are radiuses, are radii. All of these are radii because they come from the center to the edge, and they're all equal. All radius are equal. You need to know that for your proofs. All radius are equal. All radius are the same, right? All radius are the same. Okay. Now, if you have a radius that goes, if you have a line that goes through the radius from one edge to the other, this is called the diameter. Right? That's the diameter, right? The diameter is 2 times the radius, right? The diameter is 2 times the radius. So the radius is half the diameter. That's the relationship between the two. Alright? Diameter 2 times radius. Radius half the diameter. Alright? It's good to know. Okay? Now, for a circle, you have area and you have circumference. Circumference is going around, like I said earlier. Right? And here are the formulas for those. Alright? The area of a circle is going to be pi, which is the number, times r squared. Pi radius squared. Pi times the radius squared. Right? Pi is a rational number. Yeah, it just goes on and on and on. 3.14, 159265, 39, I think. But it just goes on and on and on and on. Right? So, pi times radius squared. And to solve this, you could leave the answer in terms of pi, or you can use the pi sign. There's a button in your calculator that looks like this. Use that. Alright? You don't use the pi sign no more. You don't use 3.14 anymore. Use the pi sign. Alright? So, but anyways, the area is pi r squared. Circumference is going to be 2 times pi, 2 pi r. Right? 2 times pi times the radius. Right? 2 times pi times radius, or it'll be the diameter times pi. Because remember, 2 times r is d. Right? So that's your area of a circle. It's the circumference of the circle. Okay? So, what if we said that, the diameter, let's work one out. If the diameter is 9, the diameter of a circle is 9, find the area and find the circumference. Right? Find the area and the circumference. Right? So, to find the area, I need the radius. In order to find the radius, I have to divide this by 2. Half of 9 is what? 4.5, 4.5. Right? So, the area is going to equal pi times 4.5 squared. Pi r squared. Okay? So now, there is a square button in your calculator, right? That button looks like this. You guys should learn the algebra, right? So you press that button. 4.5 and that button, right? What is it? Huh? 20.2? 20.25. So, when I say leave the answer in terms of pi, this is what you'll do. 20.25 pi. That's good enough, right? Now, what if you multiply it by the pi sign, what would you get? A bigger number, right. Something like around 60, right? Wait, 63 point what? 617, alright? So, either one of these would fly for me, right? This is in terms of pi, and this is when you multiply pi. Okay? We good? Now, circumference. If we know that the diameter is 9 and the radius is 4.5, the circumference again is 2 pi r, right? So we can just do circumference equals 9 pi. That's it. That could be the circumference. Or multiply 9 times 3.14 times pi. That's going to be 20 what? 28.27. Alright, 28.27. So either one of these would be good enough. This one or this one. Right? This is in terms of pi, which is what your standardized test would ask for. And this is in the answer simplified, right? So say round to the nearest 10th or something like that. Okay? We good? How much time we got? Oh, we got good time. Alright, do we have any time? Any questions? Y'all feel good about this? It's okay?
Yeah.
What if I gave you the area of a circle and you needed to find a radius? You want to try that?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's try it. Okay. So look. So what if I said the area is 196, right? And they said find the radius. how would I set this up? Yes, sir, Jordan. Tell me how I set this up.
You put that formula up there, like.
I plug it in, right?
Yeah.
So you got what? Tell me what to write.
196 equals pi r squared.
Yeah, 196 equals pi r squared. Okay? Alright. What's the next step? Alright, again, this is area, this is pi, this is r. Alright, now remember, alright, I'll just, yes sir,
We use square root r.
not yet. Yeah,
Divide by pi.
yeah, divide by pi. Because pi is a number. Pi is a number, right? So the next thing you want to do is divide by pi, right? Alright, after you plug it in, step 2, divide by pi, right? Divide pi. So divide both sides by pi. That becomes 1, right? So now you got r squared equals 196 over pi, which is an actual number, right? It's an actual number, right? Then from here, you would deal with the squared, right? So then the next thing you would do is take the square root of both sides. Alright, you take the square root of both sides, which means that it would look like this, right? So then r would equal whatever 196 over pi is. The square root of 196 over pi. Somebody tell me. Huh? 7.9? Anybody else got 7.9? Alright, let's do this first. What's 196 over pi? 60, huh? 0.39. So you just took this, so then you just take the square root of that. That's what you're doing. Huh?
7.9, we did that.
The square root of this or the square root of that?
Oh,
Right? Because like think about it. What's the closest perfect square to 62? 64, right? 64, but it's bigger. And 64 is 8, right? The square root of 64 is 8. So 7 is the 49 one, right? So it's close to the 8, which makes 7.9 make sense, right? But yeah, so what you do is you gotta write the problem out, like plug in what they give you. Then we start to isolate, get r by itself. So you divided both sides by pi. Then you took the square root of both sides, right? All right. Any questions? Hope this helps you. Don't forget to like and subscribe below. MrDoTheMath out.